it's a mixture of things. So there's immediately on top there's some sandstones. You'll notice what's in the sandstones other than sand. There's a few gravelly layers. We haven't got up that far yet. So you've got several. See if we can get this thing working, right? Oh, yeah. So there's our surface there. You've got several metres of sandstone. You've got some gravelly layers that are in there. I'll have a look at those down here a bit further in a moment. And then it goes up. You've probably got 4 or 5 metres of material. Then you've got this stuff over here. Okay, you've got quite a thick layer of material. If you follow your eye, follow it round over in that direction, you can see it's thinning down. See if I can blind Lisa. And right round the corner over there. Okay, see where the spot is, and you can. And by the time you get over there, it's dipping down to the sand level. Then if you keep going up, you've got some more sandy beds up there for probably another 4 metres or more. Again, notice that they've got little gravelly layers in them. And then you've got another, working again, right over there. Can people see the green spot over there? Getting up there, then you've got another one of these layers, another really big one, same as this. What are we calling that?
Breccia.
Yeah, someone mentioned conglomerate before, but I would call that a breccia. Why am I calling it a breccia? Yeah, it's got more angular class, it's disorganised, it's very poorly sorted. Yeah, very poor sorting. You've got everything from, if you get a close look at it, which we will over there a bit further, you'll see it's got everything from sand-sized material to these big blocks. If you look down in the corner there, and I'll see if I can spot it, lost sight of my pointer. Right down. You can see my pointer there. Follow it around a bit further. Now I've lost sight of it. Oh yes, there it is over there. So on the far wall, there's a block up there which I'm just outlining with the pointer. It's about the size of a truck.
That's one solid?
That's one clast.
Clast, like just one rock.
And you can see something in it. You can see bedding in that clast.
Yeah.
What's the bedding doing?
It's all folded.
It's folded.
Yeah,
there's folding in that clast in the breccia. Can people see that big clast down there in the corner?
You can see that as well over on the kind of more out past the trees.
More.
We almost shot down a bird just then.
Follow it round. Oh, geez. So there's one there. There's another, yeah, over there. Just near that crow. I nearly shot the crow. The crow. Yeah, so there's another block of it there that you can see has folding in it.
It looks very similar to that.
One of the questions you're asked is, do you think the rock types in the Wodonga bed's basement could be a source rock type for those clasts and for the sand? What sort of rocks are they? They're folded. Yeah, so they're probably metamorphic rocks. So you'll see a better example down the south end of the beach, but you'll see lots of folding. So it's not, it's sort of common sense to say that, yeah, they're pretty similar to the rocks that are in the basement. I didn't talk about the time thing. You have some numbers in your book there. It says that the Wodonga beds are Cambro-Ordovician. They've actually found Cambrian radiolarians in them. So let's call that roughly 500. Okay, so the depositional age is of that order. The Wasp Head Formation sitting on top is earliest Permian, so it's around about the 290 mark. And I mentioned something, a gap there of something like 2, so that's roughly a gap of 200 million years in sedimentation. Now that doesn't mean that's how old that surface is. Okay, so that's, what sort of surface was that? Yeah, it's an erosional surface that formed sometime prior to the wasp head rocks getting deposited on top there? How long before?
Heaps.
A couple of years.
No one knows. I don't think it's heaps. It's probably not long before. I'd be guessing at numbers, but I don't think it's long before. What happened in between? Before that? What happened before it was a road? I'm talking about the basement here. Remember, it was originally mud. It's probably a marine mud. Yeah, he's been hammered. Okay, it's been folded, deformed, it's got to the point where it's formed a tectonic foliation. And tectonic foliations, unless there's been later deformations, are usually sitting upright like that. Most folds are sort of close-ish to upright, and therefore the tectonic cleavage is upright. Okay, what happens as a consequence of folding? Other than metamorphism and increase in pressure. So yeah, increase in pressure, temperature, that all happens with folding. Yeah, uplift. What happens as soon as you uplift? If something's exposed below base level.
It starts getting eroded.
Erosion.
Yeah, erosion. Okay, so there's several steps in that process. These mudstones were deposited in the Cambrian, or near the Cambrian-Ordovician boundary. At some later point, they were deformed to blazes. Now, I don't know exactly when that is. We talked a little bit last Friday about the several orogenic events that affected the Lachlan origin. We threw words around like the Tabarabaran orogeny and the Canimbalan orogeny. One of those two, or maybe both, is responsible for the deformation that you see here. Tabarabaran was during the Devonian. The Canimbalan orogeny was Middle Carboniferous. Now, there's a lot of speculation as to which one of those events caused the deformation on these rocks on the south coast here, and I don't want to enter into that argument. It's a little bit irrelevant for us, but needless to say, they were hammered and that happened. And it happens between the depositional age, which is Cambrian-Ordovician, may have been during the Devonian or the Carboniferous. It doesn't matter too much. The Devonian Carboniferous boundary is about 390 hours. No, it's 360, isn't it? Yeah, it doesn't. Again, it doesn't really matter. It's in your book, actually. It's in your book. And then, as a consequence of that uplift, erosion happened for tens of millions of years. Okay, and it's eroded down and formed this planar surface. And the deposition of the wasp head probably wasn't long after that. There's not a great deal of evidence of what might you see if that surface had been exposed to the atmosphere a long time and just sat there and didn't erode?
Red.
Yeah, you might see a lot of weathering. I don't think there's much evidence for that. So I'd say the deposition of the wasp head was pretty hard on the heels of that surface falling. How's our sketches going?